These are my Mortar mix cookies. I was in the middle of mixing this batch right here. I call it Mortar mix because they taste like cement. I like a health kind of cookie, and that's what these are. I'll kind of give the rough ingredients. I write them down and put them below. The basic idea is a couple of cups of white flour, regular flour, unbleached, 1.5 of whole wheat flour. Then I add healthy stuff. I add the ground flaxseed. I add some millet. That's these little teeny grains here. They give it a nice crunch and a nice taste. I add some crushed pecans. I guess you get any kind of crushed nuts. This is what I use to crush my own nuts. I add chocolate chips, big or small. I add some olive oil or some grapeseed oil. I don't put butter in it. Here's the olive oil. I add oat bran. I add some oatmeal. I add, it's everything's I add. I added 1 whole egg and 2 egg whites. Just want to cut down on the eggy yolkiness. I add some wheat germ because I like that nutty wheat germy flavor because I relate to nuttiness. Wheat germ. You could also add crushed almonds, and you can use a mortar and pestle if you don't have them already pre-crushed. You can just crush your own nuts. This is what I use to crush my own nuts. I add a teaspoon of the espresso coffee. It gives it a little bit of a kick. Add a teaspoon of the plain cocoa powder. I also added about a teaspoon of this honey powder, a teaspoon of brown sugar, and a teaspoon of stevia powder. And then I start to bake it in this handy dandy little toaster oven-y thing. I bake it for about maybe 20 minutes. I put this on bake, and then halfway through I put it to turbo. Put it about 375. Everything I bake is 375. This same mix, minus all the sweet ingredients and extra ingredients, I use to make bread and even pizza dough. So everything's pretty much the same. You can make the cookies as small or as big as you want. So this time I'm making them about this size. So it doesn't really matter, whatever pan you have. I like to flatten it a bit. I spray this with some kind of a non-stick spray, and I put them in this handy dandy oven like I said before. I'm going to fill this tray up. I'm going to put it in here, and then I just watch and wait. So there they are, and look how clean this glass is. Yeah, I just want to make a note that nothing I bake or cook ever turns out the same. Now this batch I'll bake, and then I'll take it out, and I still have some leftover mix, and I'll just bake another batch, one after the other. Come on, this autofocus. So that's it. I know, this is exciting. We'll wait to see what happens. Tick, 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 tick. I like baking equipment that has the baked-in look, like it's been used before. Wow. Look through this dirty window, and you can see these cookies are starting to puff up. That baking powder is doing the trick. And I can smell the coffee, and I can smell the cocoa. I'm going to turn this baby up to turbo, which is basically convection. All it does is just blow air around. I don't even know why I'm doing that, but I like the idea. I just get the feeling that it's baking it on all sides and all through. Maybe I just like that hum of the sound of the air being blown around. Now I said about 20 minutes, but a lot of times I go by smell, and I'm starting to smell the cookies, which means it's getting pretty close to almost done. And I'll also look pretty closely and see if I see bubbling. The egg and the liquid sort of bubbling a little bit, and I look for the melting of the chips. That's right, the melting of the chips. I think it could be seen. I think you could see bubbling. You see? You see that? Yeah. I wasn't lying for a change. You don't want to overbake these cookies. You don't want to burn them. But they don't turn out soft. These are kind of harder cookies. Of course, when they come out, they're a hot, soft dough. You want to let them cool when they come out. I added a few more minutes, but you should be watching them at this point when it reaches towards the end. Wow, they got a little bit brown, and I smelled them pretty strongly, so I'm going to remove them. Okay, I checked the bottom, and they're browned. I think they're perfect. I'm going to let these cool, and then I'm going to taste it, and it should taste just like I'm used to, just what I expect, like mortar, as if you could eat these and use it as cement to build a house. Okay, I cut one of these cookies in half. It's got a nice color from the coffee and probably the cocoa and everything else I put it in. Let's try it out. Oh, it's warm. Wow. You know, usually everything I cook never tastes the same. I think I'm getting to have a certain consistency with this. It tastes as cement-like as I'm used to, as mortar-like. It's got a little bit of sweetness, but I don't want it too sweet because I like a dry, not too sweet cookie. It's got some nice roughage in it, or fiber, and it goes ding! It goes delicious with my jasmine green tea, which I put a little bit of milk powder in to bind up the tannin. And what better tea to have with these mortar mix cement-like chocolate chip cookies than a nice jasmine green tea, which I did a video on. Here are some of the tea scents with a little bit of peppermint that I mixed in. And here's my tea with a little bit of milk powder and some honey. So here you go. An off-the-cuff mortar mix chocolate chip cookie. Or cement mix. But it has been field tested, and I do have some people and test subjects that really like them. I'm surprised too. Wow. Now they're hot out, but as they cool, they'll have their own kind of different taste. And they're good. Like I say, I like a dry cookie. I have weird tastes, but you might like this. And it is healthy. It's got all that stuff in it, which I'm gonna list, I guess, as they say, down at the bottom. There you go. Jeff Goes Random. Mortar mix chocolate chip cookies. Hey, I'm not done yet. These taste pretty darn good. I let them cool a little bit more, and I taste the coffee, the delicate cocoa, and the chocolate chips. I'm getting to like these. Wait, I have had these before. Yes. Yeah, they're really good. Darn. I mean, I like them, like I said. So, try them. I'm not a chef, obviously. I have heard other people say disclaimers, so just for the heck of it, I'll say, please check with whoever, your healthcare professional, before you try this recipe. It's not gluten-free, it's not nut-free, it's not anything free. Okay? They work for me.
Works for me.
If you can't eat them, you can use this, like I said, to build a stoop or the foundation of a house. You let it dry. No, I'm only kidding there. Oh, jeez. Check with your builder before you do that. You know, once you start with disclaimers, you got to disclaim everything. Check with your doctor before you view something. Check with your eye doctor. Check with your dermatologist. Your finger could be affected by this material. The heat, if you're heat sensitive. Your sense of smell, if you're smelling this. If you have an allergy to coffee, if you have allergy to nuts, allergy to grain, to gluten. No! No, 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 no. Hey, I'm not done yet. These taste pretty darn good. And I taste the coffee, the delicate cocoa, and the chocolate chips. I'm getting to like these. They're really good. Darn.